Have you ever felt like you've hit rock bottom? Like everything you've worked for has crumbled to dust? I want to tell you a story not just of an empire, but of a mindset, a story about Rome. We often imagine Rome in its glory, majestic temples, triumphant legions, and emperors ruling the known world. But that's only half the story. The truth is, Rome was a city defined by its disasters. It was sacked, burned, and brought to its knees not once, not twice, but repeatedly throughout its long history. In 390 BC, a horde of Gauls swept down from the north. They overwhelmed the Roman army, marched into the city, and burned it to the ground. The Romans who survived were left with nothing but ashes and despair. It seemed like the end. Most cities would have vanished from history after a blow like that, but not Rome. From those very ashes, they began to rebuild. They didn't just reconstruct their homes, they reconstructed their spirit, stronger and more determined than ever. This was the first great lesson in Roman resilience. Centuries later, they faced Hannibal and one of history's greatest military geniuses. At the Battle of Cannae, Hannibal inflicted a catastrophic defeat on the Romans, one of the worst in military history. Tens of thousands of Roman soldiers were lost in a single day. The city was gripped by panic and grief. Their allies began to defect, believing Rome was finished. It was the perfect moment to surrender, to sue for peace. But Rome refused. They mourned their dead, yes, but then they raised new legions. They appointed a new general, Fabius Maximus, who adopted a controversial strategy of avoiding direct battle, wearing Hannibal down through attrition. It was a slow, painful process, but it worked. Rome endured, and eventually they pushed Hannibal out of Italy and defeated him in his own homeland. They didn't just survive Hannibal, they learned from him, adapting their military tactics and emerging as a more sophisticated fighting force. But the threats weren't always external. Rome was torn apart by brutal civil wars. Generals like Marius and Sulla, Caesar and Pompey turned their legions against each other, drenching the streets of Rome in blood. The Republic, the very foundation of their society for 500 years, collapsed under the weight of its own ambition and internal strife. It was an age of chaos, betrayal, and political assassination. Yet, from the wreckage of the Republic, something new was born: the Roman Empire. Under Augustus, a new era of stability and unprecedented prosperity began, the Pax Romana, or Roman peace. They transformed their greatest political failure into a system that would endure for centuries more. Even the city itself seemed cursed at times. In 64 AD, the Great Fire of Rome raged for over a week, destroying vast swathes of the city. People lost their homes, their livelihoods, their history. The Emperor Nero was famously, perhaps unfairly, blamed for it all. But what happened after the fire? Rome was rebuilt on a grander scale than ever before. Nero implemented new building codes with fire-resistant materials and wider streets to prevent such a disaster from happening again. The catastrophe became a catalyst for urban innovation. The city that rose from the flames was safer, more organized, and more magnificent. So, what does this all mean? It means Rome's power wasn't in its marble columns or its golden eagles. It wasn't in its invincibility, because it was far from invincible. Rome's true, enduring power was in its will. Its superpower was persistence. Think about it. Fall 7 times, rise 8. This isn't just a Japanese proverb, it was the unspoken code of Roman existence. They understood a fundamental truth that we often forget: failure is not the opposite of success, it is a part of it. Every enemy that sacked their city forced them to build stronger walls and better armies. Every political crisis that tore them apart forced them to reinvent their government. Every devastating fire forced them to build a smarter, more resilient city. The fires that were meant to destroy them also forged them. They learned more from their defeats than their victories. Victory can make you complacent. Failure forces you to adapt, to innovate, to grow stronger. Their power wasn't in their walls, it was in their will. They lost countless battles, but they never lost the belief that they could win the war. They never accepted defeat as a final state. It was always just a temporary setback, a problem to be solved, a lesson to be learned. When a leader fell, a new one stood up. When an army was lost, a new one was raised. This relentless, stubborn refusal to quit is what made Rome eternal. Not because it never fell, but because it always rose again. Now, bring that spirit into your own life. We all face our own battles. Maybe you failed an exam, lost a job, had a business go under, or a relationship fall apart. You might feel like you've been burned to the ground with nothing left but ashes. It's in those moments you have a choice. You can stay in the ruins, or you can start picking up the bricks. The Roman lesson is this: your current setback is not your final story. The fire that burns you can also be the fire that forges you. Every fall is an opportunity to learn, to rebuild, and to rise stronger than you were before. Your greatest strength isn't in avoiding failure, it's in how you respond to it. Winners are not those who never fall, but those who refuse to stay down. So, whatever you're facing today, remember Rome. Remember that empires are not built in comfort. They are built from grit, from resilience, and from the courage to stand up one more time than you are knocked down. You have that same strength within you. Don't just endure your challenges, use them. Let them make you smarter, tougher, and more determined. Never give up. Keep building your own empire one day at a time. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If this message resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe to Journey to Next Level for more motivation from the lessons of history. Keep fighting.